Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. So it is time for my May wrap up. I forgot what month it was. They just seem to be flying by, so I can't keep track of them. So yes, this is my May wrap up, and I didn't read as many books as I had hoped to read this month, but I did get through a few very interesting ones, so I'm looking forward to telling you about those. Alright, so I finished the sequel to The Winter's Curse, which was The Winter's Crime by Marie Rakowski, and this was as good as the first one. It definitely lived up, and I am dying to get my hands on the third one. This series is so good. I feel like it's fantastic. Like, this is a great, strong female character and somebody that, I don't know, she's so smart and interesting. And I can't say too much about this book because obviously it would have spoilers for the first book, but I did love how there were characters that I really liked in the first book that as they developed and the plot, developed and carried on, they naturally changed in ways that I didn't like them anymore, and I think that it's interesting when a writer can make you both love and not so love the same characters throughout a series. And yeah, I think these are really well done, and it's a series that is definitely worth the hype. So this book, for lack of a better word, is weird. And I mean really weird. The whole time I was reading it, if people would ask me about it, I would just be like, this book is weird. And I can't count how many times that I just turned to Justin and was like, this book is so weird. But it was still really good. Like, it was weird in an interesting way, I would say. Not weird in a, what is this author doing sort of way. And that book is Magonia. And Kat from Catty-tastic was talking about this in her recent wrap-up video, and I definitely agree with the things that she said about it. It's hard to describe. It really is. It's about a girl who is basically chronically sick. She can't breathe. She is just sick all the time. And when I first read that, I thought, oh, this is going to be a book about somebody who has cancer or, a terminal normal illness that, we're used to, and then something miraculous happens. Like, that's what I was expecting. No, not at all. She finds out at some point, and this is not a spoiler, I think this is in the flap, like the front flap, and you find out pretty soon that she is not exactly of this world. And it sort of follows her finding that out and her coming into her own and sort of her relationship with somebody who is of our world and things like that. And it was just really complicated in a interesting way. I don't know. It's so hard to describe, and I don't know. There's so very little I can say about this without spoiling things, and there's one part that it was like the main part where I was like, this is so weird, that it basically inspired my fiance to continuously yell bird lung every time I would cough. Basically, every time I cough or sneeze or wheeze or anything, my fiance now yells bird lung at me because of this book. When you read it, you will probably understand why, but it's weird. Okay, by far, the book that I enjoyed reading most this month was We All Looked Up by Tommy Wallach. I picked this book up at Target because the cover looked interesting, if I'm being completely honest. It looked like nothing I had ever seen before, and I picked it up and read the inside flap and was interested by the sort of dark humor of the description, because I like books that are sort of like black comedies, and so I was interested in that and the whole like sort of doomed from the start aspect of this book, because this is about a bunch of teenagers who are in different sort of social circles, and they find out that there is an asteroid headed for Earth and that it's on a collision course. And so it's sort of about how they shed their categories, their, typical high school stereotype categories, and how their lives all intertwine. And it was just a really interesting and well-written book. I didn't expect the depth of characters that this book had, because honestly, a lot of YA does not have the kind of depth of characters that adult books do. And that's probably a generalization, but I do find that in most cases that's true. This had incredible depth of character and character growth throughout the book, and it was just really fantastic. And I will be doing a full review of this book coming up very soon, so I'm not going to say anything else. I will link that video below when it is up, and you can go check that out if you are interested in hearing more about this one. Okay, so the last book that I read this month, or rather listened to, was The Tokaido Road, and I had started this book quite a while, and it's a long book, audiobook, and I'm really glad that I chose to listen to it on audiobook, because the audiobook narrator, Rebecca Cook, was fantastic. I mean, she really made this book, and I think that I probably would have struggled a little bit, because there are a lot of words that are, you know, that are Japanese that would be difficult for me to pronounce, or that would have hung me up and I think taken away from my enjoyment of this story. But having it narrated to me through an audiobook, I didn't have to think about the way things were spelled, or or try to figure out how to pronounce things. So I was just able to really enjoy the story and the character development. And I've heard criticism of this book that the story's kind of basic, and that the only thing that saves it is, you know, the rich detail. But I think that is the book. Like, while the story of Kat and her vendetta, because she is, her father sort of had a political drama with somebody and ended up killing himself in an honor suicide, and she wants revenge because an official vendetta was never registered in her father's name, and no revenge was ever taken because he was wrongfully put in this situation. And so it's sort of about her journey to try to take revenge and or seek revenge, and it follows her journey from Edo on the Tokaido Road all the way to Ise, I think. I can't remember exactly where they were going. But the whole thing is just full of rich detail about the Tokaido Road and about Japan at this time. And we get to meet these fantastic characters. I just blanked on her name. Kasane, who she ends up sort of becoming a companion with along the way. It's fantastic. Like, when we first meet her, she's just not... At first you're really annoyed by her, but the more we get to know Kasane, the more interesting her character is, and she just becomes like this lovable sidekick that you just love. And Kat is an interesting character, and I think that she's very well developed, and her growth throughout the book is really interesting. But for me, it was just sort of, I felt like I could taste the food and smell the air and really see what was being described to me, because that's how rich the detail is in this book. And it made me want to go to Japan even more than I already do, and that's a lot. But it just was a fantastic story, and I thought that the end sort of seemed like, you know, the journey was so long and the end was just like that. And I mean, it was kind of appropriate, but at the same time I was like, oh, the book's over. But I really enjoyed reading this or listening to it, so I would definitely recommend the audiobook for this, absolutely. I will say that there is, out of nowhere, a very, very, I wouldn't say intense, but a steamy, that's probably the right word, steamy love scene that I did not see coming, and I always manage to be listening to audiobooks at work when it gets to things like that, so that was a little uncomfortable. So be warned, it's near the end of the book and it is quite steamy. But yes, anyways, all things considered, I really enjoyed this book, and if you are going to pick it up, definitely pick up the audiobook. So those are the books that I read and listened to in May. I didn't read as many as I have been reading, but that's still a lot of books for me to read in 1 month, so I'm pretty excited about that. And I am in the middle of probably 3 right now. Like, I am mad at myself because I was like, alright, I'm gonna finish the book club book. I'm gonna finish it, and I'm not going to read anything else until I do. And then I went and picked up a book that I had put down at the beginning of this month, and then I started another audiobook, so now I'm in the middle of 3 books again. I just can't help myself. I really can't. Anyways, I would love to hear what you thought of any of these books if you've read them, and yeah, I hope you guys are having a wonderful week, and I will see you next time. Bye! The Tokaido Road by Lucia St. Clair Robeson. Let's do that again. The Tokaido Road by Lucia? The Tokaido Road by... I can't ever say her name! Friggin' A! Lucia St. Clair Robeson.